You're listening to the Grit to Growth podcast. Real talk with real business owners and professionals who built their freedom the hard way and now want more time, money, and impact.
Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm Levi Tesla, your host, and my guest joining me today is Joel Sylvester. He's a partner and chief client officer at 5-Star Call Centers in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. For over 30 years, Joel has been passionate about crafting exceptional customer experiences, and at 5-Star, he leads efforts to help businesses deliver world-class customer care through cutting-edge technology. Joel, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Levi. Good to talk to you today.
Yeah, we appreciate your time and joining us here. So let's start here, Joel. For listeners who aren't familiar, what is 5-Star Call Centers and what makes your approach unique?
Sure. Yeah, I think call centers all get a bad rap. We all think of them as the folks that call us on our cell phone. That's not us. So we're an inbound customer service center. And in the industry, we're called a BPO, a business process outsourcer. So we basically are for people to outsource parts of their customer service that aren't a core competency for them. So we do everything from provide staffing, to we provide technology and training, to every part of customer service. So for 5-Star, I think what sets us apart is that's all we do. Our vision is to deliver world-class customer care. It's literally all we do. We try to keep it, very simple. From the end of it, unfortunately, the type of work we do, no one ever calls because they're happy, right?
Yep.
So we deal in fixing problems and turning dissatisfied customers into happy customers. So that's what we do.
Yeah, my career arc is I started in customer service, and I know very well that it can be a little bit of a grind from time to time. You have to have some thick skin, but excellent customer service makes the world of difference for any business, really.
And I even think it just makes people better humans to be able to interact and have that empathy and just really work through that piece of it. I always say that everyone should work in customer service, whether it's a waiter or a waitress or a server, or whether it's in retail or whether it's at a contact center, because it helps you understand, what goes on, behind the curtain, and maybe have that empathy, from the end of it. And I will tell you, we have about 1,000 team members in the U.S. We employ team members in 30 states, and we're 99% work at home. And our bread and butter is small towns, small communities. So if you think about South Dakota, maybe 50, 60 miles from Sioux Falls or 50, 60 miles from Rapid City or from Watertown or from Mitchell, where there's a lot of people that have a lot of skills and a lot of talent and a lot to give, but maybe not as many opportunities as people do in major metros. And outside of South Dakota, if you think about like Texas, between Houston and San Antonio and Dallas, there are literally millions of people that are living in some of those urban areas. And I think the pandemic taught us a little bit that work at home is very doable, and that you can not commute in for an hour and not have to have some of the expenses that go along with that piece of it. So our team members are they're amazing. They're very engaged. They want to help people, and they live literally in a small town near you. As you're driving on the interstate or on a highway through South Dakota or Nebraska or Iowa or Texas or Florida or Georgia, chances are there's someone in one of those small towns that's helping customers every day through a contact center while they're working at home.
So you mentioned, is it mostly, what is the kind of mix of, you said you offer customer experience people, but then you also train for them. What is kind of your business model mix that way?
Yeah, really when we're working with a partner, so we have about 20, we call our clients partners. So we have about 25 clients or partners throughout the US, and they range from healthcare to financial services to hospitality to technology. And we really, identify 5 things that make a good partner for 5-star. One, they have to be a good cultural fit for us. They need to, really live that world-class customer care. If they don't, chances are we're not going to end up having a good partnership, and they're not going to be happy, and it's not going to be great for us, and whatever. So we really, when we're bringing on partners, we're pretty selective, and we look at their culture. They need to be the right size. If they're too big, if they need 20,000 agents, that's not me. If they're too small, and then I maybe can't provide the best solution for them, and I have partners that I can refer them to. They need to have really strong processes for my agents to be able to help customers. If they don't, we'd be happy to help build those, but they at least need to be willing to have those strong processes. They need to have world-class technology that allows our agents to be able to serve customers. If they don't have it today, then we'd be more than happy to make recommendations and help them implement that piece of it. And then realistically, one of the things that's big in my business is seasonality. Fourth quarter is big seasonal. Healthcare has a big back to school season is going on right now. So they need to fit in with 5-star seasonality. We try to dovetail our clients together to make sure that we don't have a big boom at one time and then no business from that end of it. And those 5 things, my whole organization is really focused on. So my sales team knows what they're looking for. My trainers know what they're looking for and things like that. So if you have those 5 things that fit in to the 5-star, then it really depends where you are as an organization. So some organizations come to us and they're like, customer service, customer experience is not a core competencies of ours, so we want you to own it all. We want you to recruit and hire and train and monitor and provide the technology and everything. Some partners come to us and say, you know what, we've got all this, we just have a difficult time staffing it. And so we'll just hire for them. Some of them say we've got the staffing and we've got the technology, but we really need help with the process and the training and things like that. So we can be very custom as long as you fit within those 5 things and we know it's going to be a good fit, it's going to be a good long-term partnership. Then it really depends where you are as an organization with really what you need. I just got a call from a global brand on Friday, and they have everything they need. They just need staffing. And we were able to very quickly provide agents for them because we had people that were coming off another project because of seasonality, and it was a perfect win. And then vice versa, I have a partner out of Pennsylvania that was just done trying to mess with any of it, and they're like, we just want you to do it all, and that's been a great partnership as well.
That's really interesting. It allows them to focus on what they do best rather than the headache of figuring out this staffing issue.
Yep.
You mentioned that you want your partners to be at a certain technological level and everything. That kind of gets me into, where are you seeing like AI come and being involved in customer care, and how do you guys find that right balance between that efficiency but also having the human touch to it?
Yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years, Levi, so probably before you were born. And I remember the days
Right
when
at 30 years.
What's that?
I'm right at 30 years.
Okay, so I started by like the day you were born. So, and the technology is actually, I think, one of the most fun and exciting pieces of it. So we really use technology and AI in every part of our business. From a recruiting standpoint, in the old days, someone would need a job. They would apply for a job, maybe on a Friday night, and they would apply, and then the weekend would come, and by the time the HR manager got in and looked at it and covered things, they'd maybe get a call on Monday or Tuesday. And then even though everyone wants, the number one thing people ask for in team members and employees is that they be honest. The first thing you'd ask people to do is lie to their current employer and tell them they have a dentist or a doctor or some sort of appointment. So we use technology to avoid all that, Levi. If you apply for a position, you get an invite to do a digital avatar, so a video call that you can do on your own time. And you can practice a little bit. And from a cultural standpoint, a CEO of a company that partners with me can come out and say, Levi, I hear you're interested in this position. We're excited to have you here. These are some of the things that are important to our company. If you think you're interested, continue. You might be like, nope, that's not me or whatever. We do have people that exit out of interviews after 3 minutes because they're, video interviews. and then it gets recorded, it gets scored. So then by the time a hiring manager is looking at it, they know they're not wasting your time and we're not wasting our time. So that's a first piece of it. Training. We use a ton of AI to be able to do like mock calls. In the old days, everybody got a week of training, for example. Now you might catch on really quick and be ready to start taking calls after 3 days, and then you're antsy and you're getting bored and whatever. I might need 7 days, right? I'm a little bit slower learner, but I was going on the phone after a week regardless. Now you can really, through scoring methods and through some of those mock avatar type calls, type interactions, you can get to the point where you might be ready to take calls after 3 days. I might need 7. It's a win for both of us because I'm not on the phones early and you're not, waiting around. From a monitoring standpoint with speech analytics, all day, every day, we can tell how our team members are doing. If they're getting upset, if they're getting short with customers, if maybe they have a customer that's really being terrible to them, we can see that. So we have a program called the Hive, so I can see my whole organization, and those that are in red have either a team member that's speech, their speech analytics, or the sentiment is showing things aren't going so well, or the customer, things aren't going so well. And the agent can actually see that as well, and they kind of have their own little gamification where if you see that a customer is in yellow and turning into red, you can use some of the techniques that we've trained you to try to get them down into green. And like you have a little celebration. You're like, yes, I just calmed that person down. And I will tell you, all the time people stop in and they're like, hey, some of the techniques that I use with customers, I do that same thing with my spouse or with my kids. I just wish that my kids and spouse were on speech analytics so I could tell.
Some kind of meter.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
So we're doing a lot of that. And then the truth of the matter is, if I'm using AI to hire the right individuals, which I am, and train them the right way, and then we're monitoring some of those things and we understand what's being said, the next logical step is digital agents to be able to use a fully automated, but these are really smart digital agents, right? They're trained, they're QA'd almost like a human, not the old stupid chatbots that people put out there that we all got frustrated with. I actually do a keynote and I start the keynote with 120 seconds of actual customers yelling, agent, I want to talk to a customer. And you have the sweetest like little grandma that's saying expletives because she just wants to talk to somebody. And we're living the sins of our fathers, right? We put those chatbots in place way too soon. And now there are truly things in place that can help, especially after hours, during peak times, maybe when there aren't enough agents available and you can do some of those repetitive type tasks. For scheduling appointments, they're really, really good. For answering FAQs, they're really, really good. For making changes, they're really, really good. For tracking, for reporting issues, they're really strong solutions. So it really is impacting almost every part of our world. And the truth of the matter is there just aren't enough humans. Especially in America, if you look at generationally. So if we can automate and use really good digital agents for 10, 15, 20% of interactions, that really makes everyone's life better because I can save some money, which means I can pay my team members more. And I can make sure that those team members are truly doing the value added type things that maybe an automated digital agent, can't do from the end of it. And customers aren't frustrated because they haven't been holding as long. Less nights and weekends for team members so they can enjoy that time with their family and friends. And then when they are working, they know they're truly going to be making an impact with all the customers that they touch.
I was going to ask you on the sense of your team members on that meter that you were talking about, if you see that they're getting frustrated because, or if like they're having someone be nasty to them, do you see managers a lot of times picking that up and then, giving that employee a little more care and encouragement to get through that?
All the time. That's what we do. We've got a workforce management team, and our management teams literally will do that. So what they'll do, Levi, is they'll see you're on a tough call. They'll pop it up and listen to it, and then they'll basically take you out of queue. So as soon as that call hangs up, you're out of queue, you don't get another call, and they'll pop on and they'll be like, boy, Levi, that was tough. And maybe you made it tough, right? Maybe something you said or whatever was
Mm-hmm.
that, and they can coach you immediately and say, you know what, this is maybe how you could avoid that in the future. Sometimes it's just a chance to take a breath, to breathe a little bit and say, you know what, that customer had something go wrong that wasn't your fault, right? There
In
was
your
nothing you
control,
could
yeah.
do. So how you doing? You want an extra break? You want to go take your dog for a walk? You know, are you good? And sometimes people are like, yeah, I want to get on the next call immediately because I want to forget about that. And sometimes you don't. And from a coaching standpoint, you know, in the old days, we would be lucky to do 3 to 5% of QA. By the time I found a problem, it might be a week late. So, like,
Yeah.
Levi, hey, last Tuesday, you're not going to remember that. And worse, you've probably been, if you were doing it wrong, you've been doing it wrong for the last week. So, how many problems do you have? Now we can find
And
that
is the
real
only
time.
way you would have caught that in the past is because it's record. So you're physically having to sit there and listen, taking up your time, and whereas now you see that and you can get to that exact moment.
Absolutely real time. Yep. And it takes some correlation. You do need to do continual quality assurance and actually build it based on your actual program. We have a partner we work with that's an ag, and it was showing that their customers were upset, but they weren't actually that upset. They were just working in an ag environment which was loud,
Yeah.
and generally their language was not like what we normally would think of as language, but there are farmers that can use expletives as an adjective and as a verb and as a noun, and
Yep.
so the software was catching that and thinking that it was an upset customer, where really it wasn't. They were just shouting because they're in a tractor, right? And or they're out in the middle of nowhere on one bar of cell coverage. So
Yep.
those are
I
things
know
that we
those very
continue
well.
look at and customize based on the type of customer and the type of call.
That's incredible. I think that sounds perfect for so many different kinds of businesses.
You know, and,
Wh-
and for the work at home piece for us too, it really is. I don't believe all jobs are accustomed to work at home, but for us, it really is because it's an extension of people's lives, and we have this technology, and agents really can do that gamification and know how they're doing. You know what I mean, real time with customers as far as that goes. So it really, we have so many people that just love doing it. They love to be able to solve problems. And in fact, we have some of our most complex, maybe healthcare issues when we have agents that are on that. And then seasonally that goes down and they go to a different type of call. And they're like, I want to go back to helping people, right? I want to go
Yeah.
back to some of those hard type situations. You know, the other thing is too, is the technology too has what we call agent assist. So if it's a conversation that doesn't come up very often, as the technology is listening, it can actually pop up answers to what is happening or resource guides. So it takes you less time to find it and things like that. You don't have to
Yeah,
type in
absolutely.
those types of things. So the technology really not only allows you to automate 10 to 15 to 20%, but it also gives you the opportunity to really make it a better customer experience and a better agent experience.
Yeah, I would say that doing that helps the newer people out because they might not know exactly what they're talking about until they have more reps and everything. And if they could have something that pops up and gives them that answer right there and gives them that confidence boost, that makes it a way better customer experience.
Yeah, I'm on a mission to let people know that working in customer service, that working in contact centers is great. It's a great opportunity. You know, almost everyone started on the phones, and if you want to be a supervisor, or a manager, or a trainer, or a director, or a vice president, there's those opportunities that exist. Call centers get a bad name,
Yeah,
and they
hit
just
on
do.
that because a lot of that's what from the outside I would think there's a lot of turnover and everything, but it sounds like what you have in place is helping retain those good employees and even people who might be struggling if they're being seen and heard. It sounds like they're going to be more likely to stay with you.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people are like, I can't believe that this is not nearly as bad as I thought it would be, or I didn't know any of that. I actually, I've got a family member that had worked at a bank and had worked retail, and she lives in Oklahoma, and she came and worked for us, and she loves it. And she's like, I should have came and worked for you 15 years ago. And I'm like, I know. But again, we get a bad rap, and again, no one ever calls a contact center to say, hey, just want to let you know I opened the box and it's not broken. Just want to let you know that my cable's working great. Well, every single situation, as long as you have that mentality that the customer's calling in and they're having a very bad day, something has gone wrong, and that you can solve that. And I literally every single day, if you're working in a customer service position, you are solving problems, and someone is going to say thank you, you saved the day. Now you're gonna have other customers that aren't as gracious, and maybe that regardless of what happens, you can get there. But you can absolutely, and you have way more wins than losses. It's probably the 80-20 rule. Probably 80% of customers you're able to help. They had a great experience. They're friendly. They thank you. If they're from down south, they say God bless at the end of the call. That's another kind of fun thing is you talk to customers all over the country and really all over the world. So you do get a chance to get exposed to some things, right? Like we're sitting here in South Dakota. I might talk to a customer that I'm like, how's your day going? And they're like, oh, it's super hot, because they're in Florida. Right. And you're like, oh, I guess, that's something to think of. And you hear the accents, you hear the Southern accents, or you hear people from England or from, Australia. And it's kind of a fun way to really grow your world from your basement that throughout the course of the day. One of my favorite things to do is some days we'll send out a contact center bingo, where we put different things and they try to make a bingo. So one of the things is a person with a Southern accent. Someone with a dog barking in the background, someone, and try to find all the different things, because in the course of the day, you can about imagine 8 hours of talking to people. You hear a lot of different stories, and you catch people at a very, kind of a very vulnerable part of their lives, especially in the financial services. We get people that are trying to buy groceries, and their card's not working, and it can be very frustrating. And if we can help solve that issue for them, it's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I had to share a story of you talked about people in Florida this last year. It was funny because I believe Florida had just about as much snow as we did up here in South Dakota. And I'd like pointing out the fact I don't think that's ever happened, especially in my lifetime.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know, I would agree.
yeah. Well, I better ask you how you actually came to be part of Five Star and what that ended up, that journey looked like, and how you developed.
Sure. So I actually ran contact centers all over the world for a major financial services company for many, many years, and I loved it. And then had the opportunity. Five Star actually grew out of an ad agency. Lawrence and Schiller, a local ad agency here in South Dakota, had a contact center, and myself and my two business partners had the opportunity to come over, and I had actually managed the outsourcers when I was at Wells Fargo, and I loved my time there. But it was always like I liked this part of that company, and I liked this part, and I liked that part, and this was an opportunity for me to come in and take all the things that I liked and really kind of put that together. And so that's been a super fun part of it. And when we started, we had about 65 team members, so about 13 years ago, and one location just in Sioux Falls, and then we added Sioux City, and then we added Wichita, then we added Fargo, then we added Tulsa, and then when the pandemic hit, we had a big pivot, to work at home. And we had work at home before, but nobody really wanted to do it because everybody wanted to come in and have potlucks and whatever. And then really for us, the work at home pivot has been very successful. That we've got, again, we're able to identify great people. So our turnover is down, our team member engagement is up, our shrink, which is during the course of the day, is down. When we do have spikes, like when call volumes go up, in the old days, if we had a spike, we'd reach out to people and say, hey, you want to come in and take calls? Well, by the time they got here, it was over. Where now they're at home, they can bump into their home office, close the door, 30 minutes, an hour, they can kind of do that piece of it. And in fact, because of the technology and because of the processes we have in place, we've now actually expanded to Guatemala as well. And we have almost an identical model. We have a lot of work at home. We do have some in office from that end of it. But because we believe the recruiting, the training, the monitoring, the technology down, we've got the opportunity to expand that to provide both a lower cost to our customers, but also that bilingual component. And then we are actually expanding to the Philippines as well. We just put our first 10 people in the Philippines, and same type of thing. It gives us that opportunity to lower cost for our partners if that's a need they look. Get some really experienced team members that have some very specific skill sets. But again, it's really the same recruiting process, the same hiring and training process, the same technologies that allow all that to be successful.
That's extremely exciting. So are you still, you were talking about expanding into those other markets and even before the pandemic, are you still doing a lot of physical office buildings, or is that kind of gone away and it's more the
Yeah, we're down
technology
to
side that you're housing in those
Yeah,
areas?
in the US, we're down to one location here in Sioux Falls. So before the pandemic, we had a total of about 230,000 square feet. Now we have 7,000.
That's
And now we have the same amount of square feet. It's just 500 feet at a time in people's basements, right? All
yeah,
over
yeah.
the place from that end of it. So in Guatemala and in the Philippines, we do have a little bit larger footprints. But we absolutely allow work at home as well. It's just work at home doesn't work for everybody in some of the major metros because they maybe don't have an extra room that they can do from that of it. But yeah, for us, that work at home pivot has really been successful.
Well, I was going to ask you kind of what's on the next horizon and is exciting, but it sounds like the Philippines and Guatemala. Is there any other real exciting things coming up?
Yeah, I mean, we're continuing to grow in the US. I mean, we'll always, I think, be, the largest in the US. I really do think the use of some of the technology is what's exciting. It gets better, what I mean, every single day. And we're really spending a lot of times working with organizations on that because the most difficult part about implementing some of the AI is one, you need to have an organization whose data and systems are ready for that, right? I do another keynote where I have everyone stand up and I say, sit down if you're 100% confident in your data. And I usually get to about 50%. Well, I can only use a digital agent and automation to do so much if your data is only half right, right? I can't book a hotel for you if I don't, if I only know 50% of where you're going or coming from, right? I can't book an
100%.
airline
Yeah.
for you. So there's that piece of it. You need an organization to agree. You need the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, the COO all agree to what are we willing to automate. And then you need to have technology that allows you to get at that data and have that data through APIs and through integrations do that. So we're spending a lot of time with organizations right now working on that AI process map. We did over 100 AI proof of concepts with partners last year. And so we're spending a lot of time on that. That is going to it's going to take a long, long time. The technology is actually there and ready. It's the ability to really use the technology. So we are doing a lot of that. That's probably, I think, over the next year or two, one of the biggest things we'll be working with our partners on. And then selecting the right technology. There are so many out there, and we think we can, because this is all we do is world-class customer care, we can help save our partners tons of time and tons of money and tons of just headaches by selecting the right technology that's going to be a fit for them. So those are a couple of things that will keep me busy for the next couple of years.
That sounds incredibly valuable. And yeah, I think any business owner should leverage someone else's expertise when there's so many other headaches that they have to solve that might as well just take something else off the plate. Well, Joel, if people want to learn more about you or Five Star from either wanting to hire you guys or just be an employee, where would you send them to?
Yep, our website is 5starcallcenters.com. You can find out everything there. You can find out more about me. You can get in contact with me. You can find out about our solutions, and you can look at the employment opportunities that we have available. So 5starcallcenters.com is probably the one-stop shop from that of it.
Joel, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your passion for customer experience today. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Levi.
We'll see everyone on the next one.
Know someone with serious grit and a great growth story? Send them our way at grittogrowthpodcast.com/guest.